Okay, so now we can actually start. That was all just 1 minute. That's pretty cool. Oh, well, we already know how this is gonna go. Hello, everyone. So I'm back with KyLisa Freeman.
Hey, guys.
And for those of you who may not recognize her, she's actually in the ENFX video, which, fun fact, I'm so sorry. Everyone makes mistakes, right?
That's true.
And I accidentally mistook her very apparent now SE for NE. But what makes me feel better is that, number one, everything that I pretty much said in the video was accurate about NE. It just doesn't really apply to her as much, especially with all the confusion that's online of people mistaking a lot of SE and NE things. But yeah, KyLisa is actually in the ESFP, and I think that'll explain a lot.
That's why I didn't realize the NE thing, remember?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And
so
it's disappointing because I don't like being wrong. But yeah, I realized that a long time ago, and it's like, you know what, we have to clarify that sometime, but also still let you guys know that everything on there was still like accurate, just not having to do much with her. And FITE is still a thing, you know, like still the same auxiliary tertiary function. She's still mean, which you'll probably be seeing in the video.
I am not mean.
You're pretty mean. You can be pretty bossy. Carl Jung himself even said that NE and SE are often hard to tell apart. So anyway, that's all to just like say I'm sorry that I mistyped her, but it won't
But it's
happen.
okay. Now I know my true identity, and I'm blossoming.
Yes.
Aren't I,
she's
Denzel?
blossoming. She is blossoming.
I am.
She's doing better.
Way better.
Everything is just making more sense now.
Yeah, it is. It really is, though. So, we're here today. We are here today.
We are here today.
We are here today to discuss what?
5 aspects of a healthy relationship. Antonia Dodge and Joe Markowitz, they actually made a podcast on this, pretty much talking about the same things, the 5 markers of a healthy relationship. And as I was listening to it, then I just thought like, oh, you know, this is interesting, because there was this segment where they asked everyone to pretty much write their own 5, and I was interested in knowing like what hers were, what, you know, a few other people's were. Jamila's, I asked, a few other people, just out of curiosity, David. And it was interesting to see the similarities and the differences that we had, not even just on like a typology fashion, but just like in general, like when you have these 5 markers of like what you see as a healthy relationship and all of that, and it's like, oh wow, you know, like that's how do I say it? Like that'll explain a lot between, you know, like why 2 individuals are seeing things in a certain way, and this is like, you know, this could be like romantic, this could be even platonic in some senses, and so it's like, oh well, you value this so often because you pretty much said the same thing in 3 different words on your list, so that must be like a really important aspect of what you see in relationships and all of that. And then, you know, when you see that with other people, it's like, okay, now I understand a little bit more. So KyLisa took very heavy interest in that, and she...
Well, let me just say, overall, I'm a relationships person.
She's a guru.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. But I do like relationships. I like talking about relationships. I like being in relationships. I just like relationships.
That is
so, yes, I
so she has lots of
strong
advice.
interest in this. And coming from a ESS. Gosh, 5 minutes into my new identity. Okay, coming from an ESFP. An ESFP.
This only happens with you.
Coming from my perspective, I thought it would be nice to share it with you all. So, Denzel's gonna go first though, because mine is better.
Yes. So number 1 on my list, if you guys hadn't already guessed it, was communication. And I just want to note that this isn't in any particular order, at least not my list. I think that you are organizing yours, T. But mine is not in really any like particular order. It was just like I was listening to the podcast and I was like, oh, let me write my 5 down before Antonia and Joel mention theirs, and then it influences mine in whatever way. I think that as an ENFJ, like, makes sense. Like, that's the biggest thing in my friendships, in my relationships, everything. That's the key thing. You know, people always say, you know, like, relationship without communication is not. It's dead. Yeah, you can't have a relationship without communication. You can't have a friendship without communication. You guys have to be on the same page with a lot of things. You have to like understand each other's like terminology, each other's like worldview, each other's like perspective on certain things. The reason why even more like this is so big for me is that as an NI auxiliary user, I'm all about understanding people's perspective. I'm all about understanding like, okay, why would they see things in this way? Why would they, you know, what are they thinking? What is their worldview? You know, stuff like that. And if I'm able to understand it, which is why I even like asked these questions to KyLisa and, you know, to the other people that I did, is because I wanted to know, you know, how they viewed things, like how, like what was valuable to them. And then as an FE Dom, it's like, okay, I can provide that for you. So it's kind of like me even learning what your love languages are. Like if I know what your love languages are, it's like, okay, then I can find the best ways to provide that love for you in the best way that you'd be able to receive it. So communication,
so nice.
Thank you. So communication for me is like just really, I think that is definitely like number 1 on my list in that case, because I just really value people being able to understand where I'm coming from and me understanding where they're coming from. And I'm not into the whole yelling at each other type of thing. I know that you are. And we'll get into yours. But I'm not into that. I'm into, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about it. I just want to remind you that we're a team. I'm not against you. I'm your friend, I'm your boyfriend, whatever it is. And I just want to, like, you know, I'm your son, you know, I'm your brother, whatever the case may be. Like, I just want to figure out where you're coming from. I want to let you know in the most humble manner, like, hey, I'm not trying to attack you. I'm not trying to do anything like that. This is how I felt, but how did you feel? And let's try to, like, get on the same page with that. And I feel like if you guys can really communicate that way, if you guys can both put your pride aside and, like, talk like that, what could possibly go wrong? That's how I see it. But maybe that's also me being idealistic. So yeah, that's my short spiel on my number 1. And that's ironically your number 2, right?
Yes. So communication is my number 2, but that doesn't mean it's number 2. Get it? Number 2.
I don't get it.
I just think it's really important to communicate your thoughts, your plans, your everyday things to your significant other. And I guess, Denzel, you're thinking of communication in the, how do I say this? Not the matter-of-factual way.
Do you even know what that means?
Yes.
Because you did.
I'm looking at it as a very, you said it. You said idealistic. I'm looking at it as like a everyday communicate type thing.
Okay.
So like if I'm going to the store and you need me to pick up something for you, communicate that to me.
Okay.
If I go to the store and I come back home and you're like, how come you didn't go and get, what? Because you didn't tell me. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. Little things like that. That's a horrible example. But little things like that can really pile up. And they can make communication seem like this huge thing that nobody knows how to do. But it's simple. All you have to do is talk. Just communicate. Be clear in your intentions of what you want from your significant other. That's it.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah,
concise.
I mean, hey, you know, I like the deep stuff, so. But yes, that was a very SE way of saying it. Like, this is exactly what it is. Communication is talking to each other.
Yeah.
Very well said.
Thank you.
Very concise. I guess I would challenge that then just for a little bit, because and maybe this part could be edited out if this goes left in some way. But you said, that no expectations is the best expectations.
I did say that.
So how would you?
No expectations are the best expectations.
So if you are communicating to each other, or if you don't, wouldn't that set some type of expectation? Like, oh, I expect you now to bring these things home because I've communicated this to you. I expect you now to hang out with me.
Yeah, it is an expectation. But if you're going into a situation with no expectations, I feel like that's good. You're going into the relationship with an expectation to communicate to your partner.
But that's still an expectation.
Okay, wait. I messed it up. Okay, you're going into the relationship with no expectations.
Okay.
And then you're like, okay, we need to have some type of way that we communicate. So you communicate.
Set expectations.
Right. Wait, what? No. No.
Oh, this is gonna be hilarious.
You communicate, and after the communication, now you have an expectation of something. You only have no expectations when you are going into something new, or you don't know what's going to happen, or something bad is going to happen.
That's very fascinating. For all of you ESFPs out there, I believe this is your... just jump into it blind. Don't expect anything. For all of you NJs out there especially, don't take this advice. Because then afterwards, then you can just... on the fly. We're not good at that, so don't listen to her NJs. But SPs, go ahead. You probably already do this anyway.
Probably. That's why we're great.
All right, now you're number one.
Oh, my number one is trust.
Trust.
El trusto. How do you say trust in Spanish?
I forgot.
Okay, don't worry about it. I know what hope is.
Oh, what is hope?
Esperanza.
Oh, I did know that.
But we're not talking about that right now.
That is true.
Trust. Okay, I'm back. All right. Trust is important to me. I feel like if you don't have trust, what do you have?
Concise.
Okay, for me personally, I know I need to be able to trust my significant other, my SO, that's what we'll call him.
Okay.
My SO. When I'm away from them. I see myself in the future traveling, singing, on the road, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes my SO isn't always going to be able to come with me. So I have to trust that he is home, watching my kids. And that's it.
I'm not making money.
Well, he can make money. That's it. But not out at the club, getting in with his homies.
Getting in with his homies?
They can go to each other's house and play cards. That's about it. Maybe do a little gambling here and there. That's it. Nothing crazy, nothing wild.
Trust, I definitely relate to that as well, because it's even though it's not
on
my immediate list. But it kind of relates to my number two anyway. So it'll be a good segue getting into that.
Sorry, am I
I just
rushing?
wanted to comment on that. If
Okay.
you want to, no problem. I think that trust is actually really good because it's a nest. It creates security. If you have that trust between you and your partner, then you could hang out with other people. You can talk with other people, stuff like that, and your partner should be secure in that. And I think that, like I said, that segues into my number two, which is commitment. I think that commitment is very vital in a healthy relationship. Once again, speaking whether it be with your significant other or whether it be with your, sorry about that, but speaking with your significant other or with your friends.
That's the music.
No, I find that to be distracting.
No, not while we're talking, in the beginning.
Oh.
About relationships, some relationship thing.
Maybe.
Relationship song.
This is why I thought that you had any. Because you have music? What about this? What about that? Understanding. Oh, they're gone, right? So yeah, trust is a net. It's a nest. It's able to bring security. And if you have trust in your friendship, your relationship, whatever the case may be, then now you have, you also have that commitment, that ability to be able to know that no matter what we go through, that we will still stand strong. This is very important, at least to me, in, once again, healthy like friendships and relationships, because I need to be able to trust you. I need to be able to depend on you. I don't want to invest in someone who I feel like is flaky, or, you know, is like, oh, I don't really know, like, if they're gonna be here, you know, down the road or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of like, if you're committed to this, like we're in this or whatever, then I can trust you in being able to, you know, like confide in you, or being able to, you know, just understand that we are going to make it, you know, whatever the case may be. Are you about to choke me?
No friend, no pal. You know, it's funny when you said that. I feel like my list can apply to friendships as well.
That's good.
I automatically thought relationships, like romantic ones.
Because you like relationships.
I do.
You said that.
I do. But I also enjoy friendships.
That's good. It's
Like,
good to have
I don't have a
friendships
lot.
outside of your friends.
I know. I don't have a lot of, but it's okay. Maybe I'll make some new ones. Denzel.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Well, you said your thing was commitment.
Right.
I have on my list loyalty, which I think
Loyalty,
if you took a
loyalty,
poll,
loyalty.
I think your subscribers would say that it's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
If it's not the same thing, please tell us, because I really want to know. I would be curious to know. But I think loyalty and commitment are pretty much similar. If they're not the same, they're definitely synonyms.
Mm.
I want a friend, significant other that's, okay, we use this term, ride or die.
Ride or die.
That
you
means
are either riding with
Ride
me, or you are dying.
or you're dying. No, that's not what that means.
That's not what it means.
It means, like, I'm here for you. I'm gonna ride for you. I'm gonna be there for you through thick and thin, whatever you're going through, blah, blah, blah. If I call you my friend, I don't use the term friend. Okay, no, I do.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I don't use the
Careful.
term best friend loosely. I used to when I was like a kid. Everybody was my best friend.
Like last year?
You think this is funny?
I'm laughing.
So if I call you my best friend, you're not going nowhere. Unless I kick you out.
The thing is, she's dead serious.
I'm so serious.
Take it from me.
Shut up.
So I think that loyalty is definitely a very good one, because, like I said, it goes right with commitment, and I value that just as heavily as I value commitment. I think that they are synonymous.
Because you
to
didn't say
each other.
loyalty.
Yeah, but I said commitment.
Right.
So they're like, I think that they're synonymous, like you said. And like I said, I really like that security, because loyalty and commitment give you security, like I said. And for me, I need that security, because if I feel like you're gonna flake, if I feel like you're not gonna be here long term, and I'm always thinking long term, I'm going to be selective with what I tell you. I'm going to be selective with the experiences that we have, stuff like that. Because honestly, I could get attached pretty easily, and that's why I make sure that I do not get attached. So my third one was actually understanding. And just like I said at the beginning of the video, I think that me writing the first 5 things that came to mind says a lot about who I am. So since understanding goes right along with my first one, which was communication, then I think that it just shows just how important me and my partner understanding each other are. And that's actually even why I get into MBTI. I cannot exclaim how important it is for me and my partner, me and my friends, to be able to understand each other. If I feel like you misunderstand me, if you misunderstand my motives, all of that, I cannot have that trust for you. I cannot have that loyalty to you, because then I feel like, well, then how can we be friends if you don't understand me? You know what I mean? If you don't understand my motives. And so that communication leads to understanding, which allows us to then be on the same page. And then now you get to know me, which honestly, although a lot of people know me, not a lot of people know me, because I don't really trust that easily. And that's literally all 3 of what I just had said. So yes, understanding is very important in any relationship. You have to understand each other.
And a lot of people know of you, but don't know you.
Yes, a lot of people know of me, including my subscribers. but they don't know personal things about me, and that's not to like hide, but it's just like there's certain things that like my close circle should know about me, and you know, you have to, there's levels to this, you know, I have to have those first three, that communication, that understanding, that, you know, loyalty with you, before I'm able to confide in you. And like I said, I have to have that security to be able to understand, like, you're going to be here long term. And let's be honest, not everybody is going to be there long term. And I've made mistakes with people like that, where I did confide in them, and then it's like, oh, you planted your tree in sand when I planted mine in soil, and you just yanked it out, left, and it's like, oh, okay, you know, and that shattered me, you know, in past relationships and past friendships and stuff like that, and it's like, I don't want to deal with those type of things again. So having that understanding with the communication creates good trust and good commitment, good loyalty. Interconnect. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Interconnect is better than intersect, because intersect means it keeps going.
Right.
Interconnect means it
intertwine.
I see what you did there. Okay, that's why you're the words guy. When you said, I don't remember.
Doing the ENFX video again. Where are they?
So chemistry was my second, third, fourth one. I don't remember, but it's important.
I'll take a look.
So I said chemistry because fourth. Did you say fourth? Okay. I said chemistry because you should have some type of connection, some type of spark. Fire. Like it should be something. When you and your SO get together, when you and your friends get together, I know with my best friend, who's married now, but she's in Georgia, like every time we get together, no matter how long it's been, no matter where we are, we get together and we...
Me and my best friends don't do that.
Exactly. But y'all still have like a mental connection.
That's true. That's true.
So my best friend and I, we're like that. So it's like it's a thing that we do. It's a spark. It's a chemistry that we have. We could be sitting together and just be chilling. Like, I feel like any relationship should be like that. Any true, genuine relationship, a healthy relationship, you should be able to just be like, and be cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, y'all are chilling or whatever, and it's all good.
Yeah, I think the chemistry is definitely very important as well. Even though it wasn't on my list, I feel like...
You were shocked when I said it.
No.
Oh, that was
the next one.
Gotcha.
I was shocked when you said that.
Oh,
not really
why?
like shocked, but just like I was like, oh wow, that's a really good one. But we'll get there. But yeah, chemistry was like, oh, that was one that I was like, oh yeah, that is good, because we did talk about that. I remember.
Yeah.
You're right. Chemistry was good. Okay. Chemistry is a good one, because if you two don't vibe, then like it's nothing really like special that's setting this person apart from like all of the rest of the other people. And so when you have that chemistry with that person, when you have that connection with that person or those people, that inner circle that you have in your life, then those are the people that like, it's like, I've set you apart, you know. Like even looking at Jesus, I believe that he had chemistry with his disciples, or at least 11 of them, because clearly one lacked commitment
and loyalty,
and
trust.
Lacked trust.
Wow.
Yeah, and see, this is 5 aspects of a healthy relationship. But Jesus, he had set these disciples apart, these 11, this 12, 11, however you want to look at it, apart, because he had that type of like chemistry with them. He had that bond with them, that even though he was relating to everybody else, even the 5,000 that he fed and all of that people that he was performing miracles on and everybody knew about him, these were the people that were like, they were able to write stories about him.
Yeah.
Because they were actually there, they actually got to know him, they had like intimacy.
You better preach.
Thank you, you know? And I feel like this is a good model that everybody, whether you're a Christian or not, should be able to follow to do with that. But I can't really remember right now.
You remember that was hot.
Oh, this happens to me all the time, so I just let it go. I just never vocalize it, but yeah.
Come on, let's do it. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go. Okay.
All right. So number 4 on my list was sacrifice. Once again, typical FE Dom. But I think that it's important for you to sacrifice your personal needs for your partners, for your friends, all of that. And yeah, very, very much so. We're always trying to protect ourselves. But what if we lived in a world, just bear with me now, but if we lived in a world where everyone always looked out for other people? If we all did that, then who would really have to look out for themselves, you know? Because we're all so selfless. It's like, hey, I'm meeting your need, you're meeting my need, I'm scratching your back, you're scratching my back. Nobody's back is gonna be itchy anymore. So they're gonna do 6 of those.
I believe that there is a level of sacrifice in a marriage. There's a level of sacrifice in a relationship and in a friendship. And in a marriage, I feel like you and your spouse are one. Therefore, it's expected to be sacrificial.
I think for me, my levels are a bit blurry, but there's like, it definitely will like come. Especially with, if you're dealing with a husband or wife, and you have kids, you have sacrifices that you have to make for your family, and your wife or your husband comes before your friends, to be honest. And so when it comes to that level, like, yeah, sacrifice is definitely a big deal. But then when you're looking at friends, you were pretty much talking about how like friends are temporary. Yeah, I know, right? These people. Who are they?
In your friendships, sacrifice is a little bit different in the sense of, like, you're not going to just drop everything for your friends. I mean, I love my friends and I'm loyal to them, but some things are important to me, and because we're friends, like, we come and go, you know. I mean, my best friend isn't going to drop everything for me to not be with her husband. Did I say that right?
Yeah, okay, yeah. I rock with you with that.
Yeah, that's the level of sacrifice.
Yeah, like your significant other comes above your friends.
Exactly.
And so your sacrifice for your significant other, for your children, should come before your friends and before, you know, other people in your life, pretty much.
So you, as the friend, become the sacrifice.
Exactly.
So there's that in a relationship.
Yeah.
Next is, this was really important to me as an ESFP, is self-identity, independence. If you're in a romantic relationship and all you do, all you think about, all you want to, basically all you're consumed with is your significant other, I feel like that's not really good. You probably should get help. Yeah. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
If you don't know who you are as a person, that's probably a reason why you're not in a relationship right now. If you're single, shout out to all my ladies that are single. If you're single, then take this time, like me, take this time to develop who you are, develop your identity, gain a sense of one's self. Especially for ESFPs, it's important that we know who we are, because, well, I know that I can be easily persuaded into anything. And
when in a relationship.
When in a relationship.
Yeah, not in a romantic relationship.
Yeah.
But outside of that, not really.
Right. In a romantic relationship, if my significant other, if my man is telling me, you know, this is blah, 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 and this is the way, and this is the, I take it into account, and I think about it, ponder upon it, and it becomes my own. It's almost as if I internalized what he said because he said it. So if I don't know who I am, I don't have anything to, like, combat him with.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
You sent me this text, that said, okay. Oh, the thing about ESFPs and how they handle.
Oh, yeah.
How they handle
stress.
I don't know if this has anything to do with independence or identity, but I want to say it anyway.
Go ahead.
Okay, so like the thing that he sent me, the MBTI thing, you know how the list of like MBTI types and superlatives, and it tells you like whatever. So the one that he sent me said, this is how each type handles stress. And it's funny because we had just recently experienced a stressful situation. And I did exactly as the superlative stated.
Yes. I did exactly what mine stated too.
That's true. So I was in a stressful situation and I just needed space. I was like, well, I need space. I need to think. I need to just go and think and be to myself and just, I need a couple days. So I asked Denzel for a couple days, and that's what he did. He gave me a couple days to think and, just relax. And I came back with a clear mind and a clear head. And what were you doing in the meantime?
So my superlative said to approach things logically. When I'm under stress, I like to calm down. I don't like frantic people. I don't like that at all. Like it makes me get annoyed with them more than with this situation. Oh my gosh, relax. I'm a very chill person, so I'm like, okay. And my superlative said I approach things with logic. So when she was like wilding out and everything, I'm like, yo, stressing. I'm your friend, stressing. Yeah. I was like, yo, I'm your friend, blah, 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 blah. And she's all like, no, I just need time, I just need space, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. And then she did come back the next day or two, lashed out on me on the phone. Yeah, and cut me off, all of that. She was pissed. And so it's like, I honestly thought, well, I guess that's it. So to answer your question, in the meantime, I was actually trying to adjust my mind to separation, as in like this logically detachment. Like, wow, well, I saw you as someone who was close. I guess I can't do that anymore. It sucks, but I've been through this already a few times. Let me try and focus my attention elsewhere so that I no longer have any desire for her in my life anymore. And then when she actually did take the time, as in more than 24 hours, and it wasn't even a couple of days, this was actually a whole full week, called me back. This time she had a clear mind. And I wasn't about to accept that friendship back again, if we're being totally honest and vulnerable and everything. I'm forgiving.
He saw my heart.
Yeah, I could tell that she was being sincere, and she was actually open to thinking of ways that we could avoid this situation happening again, so that I don't have to think, well, how do I know that this isn't going to happen again, or stuff like that. Because that now, like, I'm having all these defense barriers open. I don't want this to repeat, stuff like that. Because like my first three things said, I need commitment, I need the loyalty, I need the understanding, the communication, stuff like that, which was our problem. We didn't have that communication. I was trying to communicate, she wasn't trying to hear me. I was trying to understand her, she wasn't really trying to understand me. So that was kind of the thing, but yes.
It was just a lot of things coming to me at once. And my judgment was clouded. My thinking, my thought process, everything was clouded. So I decided, well, I need to go away and think. I need to be away from everything, cut off everything, just no social media, no nothing, just go ghost.
You told me to delete our conversations.
I did say that.
Our number.
I was
blocked
mad.
Me.
I say reckless things when I'm upset, okay? I'm not proud of it, but it happens, and I'm still growing. So.
That was very mature of you. Very vulnerable.
Yes.
Respect.
Every relationship.
Platonic, romantic.
Every relationship
all of that
has issues. And it's important that you understand these aspects, the love languages, everything, so that you can better handle those situations, so that you don't have stuff like this happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because if Denzel would have known about my frequent spacey, needing space type things, he probably wouldn't have been as mad.
Yeah,
You
that's
probably wouldn't
true.
have cut me off as fast.
Yeah, if I knew that you were going to return, I would have been happy to give you the space.
Right.
But the thing is, I never really know if she's going to return because honestly, she can be irrational at times. I'm not trying to
No, it's fine. But
yeah.
I also didn't communicate this to him. Therefore, you
Yeah.
end up with a mess. See why communication is important?
Yep, the last time was for
Talking.
3 months, so we're gonna think about how much to edit.
You
out
didn't
of
have to
this.
say that. So, independence is really important to me. I also do not take well to a clingy partner. Significant. I like to say significant other.
Okay.
I don't. Let's say I have a suitor, right? He tells me I'm pretty. Thank you. If he tells me 3 times a day, that's cool. Okay. If you tell me I'm pretty 20 to 80 times a day, that gets really annoying. Like every day, I know. Thanks.
You need to be as dope as an individual as you are as a couple. So me, like with Jamila and everything, even everybody would always tell us that we are dope as individuals and then dope as a couple, stuff like that. And pretty much the way that I see it is like that's great because I was not. I'm never trying to be so sucked into my significant other that I do not have time for my other friends, such as David, such as KyLisa, such as like anybody else who's there, and same thing even with her. She has her own friends and everything, and that's kind of like what she's doing. So I guess like since KyLisa like spoke on for the single people and everything, then like for those of you who are in a relationship and everything, I'm a huge advocate for not being on an island by yourself with your significant other. As in, it's just me and Bae and nobody else. Like,
Literally.
To me that's disgusting, to be honest, because then it's so selfish, and you guys, God forbid, well, not really, but if you guys break up, then you come back, hey y'all, how you doing? And your old clique don't want you back because we know how quickly you dropped us the first time.
Yikes.
So I think that it's important, just even going back to the sacrifice thing, where it's like, although you're sacrificing for your significant other and everything, you still like your significant other is here, and then your friends are like here. It doesn't mean that I'm sacrificing for my significant other up here, and my friends are like down here now. Like that's too far of a gap, in my opinion. So you need to have a separate identity from your significant other, so that way people don't just see you two as a couple, but they see you two as dope individuals, and then together, when you come together as a couple, then it's like, wow, that's where you get the power couple, when 2 powerful people come together and
knock it out the
Yeah,
box.
exactly. Jay-Z, he had his own thing going on. Beyonce had her own thing going on. They come together. They're like, all right, let's match this. Let's make this work. And they still have their individual thing with their... So it's kind of like 3 entities right there, where it's like we have Jay-Z, Beyonce, and then we have Beyonce. And all 3 of them are dope. So make sure that you are able to have that. That's what I mean. Well, that's what we mean, I guess, when it comes to like the self-identity, your own self-identity in a relationship.
Man, I didn't realize how important it was until recently. And I mean like within the last year. So, hey, I'm learning with y'all. Yeah.
I'm really proud of you. That's good. So the last one that I have is patience. That's a huge thing right now. Well, not right now, but just like in general. And I think it goes back up into communication. So communication is the top of mind, and then everything else is just kind of like the umbrella. But, communication is the umbrella, and then everything's like underneath is just like feeding into it. Pretty much like a dominant function with all the other functions feeding it. Patience is so key because it ties in with communication, it ties in with understanding, it ties in with all of that. Like if you're able to understand and have the patience to understand, then you'll have the ability to be able to have that commitment and be able to trust and be able to have security and go the long term. But if you don't have the patience, if you don't have the long suffering, it even says that in the Bible, where Paul is talking about like what is love? It's like love is patient. That's the first thing that is said. And then when my dad made me do this really cool thing one time where he said, everywhere where it says love, replace God's name with that. And God is Jesus. Jesus is God. So that means we're trying to be more like Jesus. So that means we must be patient. We must be kind. We must have that long suffering, which is patience. We must be not haughty, stuff like that. So if you have patience and the ability to understand, then I think that's like something that would really help in any relationship, because then you have people who they just jump to conclusions. I never liked that. But when you have a solid friend, solid partner, who's able to just sit down with you and be like, hey, so this is what I think or whatever about yada yada yada, or like, okay, this is how I understood the situation, but before I jump to conclusions and stuff, I want you to have the ability to explain yourself, and I'm going to judge that, like accordingly and everything. We're gonna communicate, come to an understanding, so that we can have commitment and patience. So yeah, patience is very, it just intertwines with all the rest of that, and I think it's just as important.
I really like how all yours connect.
And I
feel like mine don't connect, but they're important.
Yeah, I think that all of yours are important.
And
too.
if I sat down and really thought about it, I could connect them somehow, somewhere.
Because you have an eye as well. It's inferior.
Yeah.
So, but I think they probably do connect, and people are probably going to even comment. It's like, yeah, KyLisa, yours do connect because blah 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 blah.
Sure.
Probably a lot of the intuitives, but yeah, I think that they do connect. Just that you don't really know how, but it'll probably come to you later.
Later.
And I inferior. So yeah, that's kind of what it is.
Patience is something that I do not have. I take it back.
Honestly, okay, go ahead.
I take it back. Patience is something that I have, but very little of.
Honestly, I'm really respecting her for her vulnerability. This is FI. This is good.
Yeah.
This is FI.
Listen,
like, I really respect that you are doing
I'm
that.
growing every
That's
day.
good.
Every day is a growth spurt.
That's good.
But patience is important in the relationship, because there's going to be times where your SO is driving you crazy.
Or your friends.
Or your friends.
Or the people that you lead on a team.
Or that was shade. There's going to be times where people get on your nerves. I literally told you this today. Everybody gets on my nerves. I get on my nerves.
And it's good that she knows that.
Exactly.
Because some people will not admit that. Like,
no, everybody
is just the problem. And that's not a good way to look at things.
But that has nothing to do with them. It's how I react to them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, if somebody's doing something that I don't like, I really think it's an ESFP thing. Maybe it's just a KyLisa thing.
It could be both.
If somebody's doing something that I do not like, but I don't want to make it seem like I'm not a friendly person. I'm very outgoing, very friendly, very like group oriented. Is that right?
Yeah, that is the word. I'm just trying to make sure if you really are.
I am. I really do like enjoy being in groups, being like with people. I really am a people person.
Mm.
But I can't be that for long.
Mm.
And patience is just something that I have to work on, and it's important in a relationship. Probably why I'm still single.
You can practice these things with the people in it. Exactly.
Practice makes better.
Exactly. And I think even with me, yeah, even before I got into the relationship and everything like that, that was what I had been working on very heavily. All of these things, and that's pretty much the last thing that we wanted to even end off with. Like, all of these things that we've listed, you can have your own list, but if you're not following that list yourself, then you can't expect other people to follow that for you. You can't be like, oh, my man needs to do this, or oh, my woman needs to do this, or whatever. But then they can be like, but do you do that? You have to set the example for them. You have to be able to pay up whatever you are expecting them to pay up as well. For those of you who are single, use this time as time to practice, like what KyLisa was saying. Practice it and use it in a way where pretty much you have friendships. Hopefully you have friends that you can practice this stuff with, and whatever you want to value, practice that patience, practice that trust, practice that commitment, that communication, that self-independence, all of that, understanding, sacrifice, all of these things, whatever your list may be, practice that with your friends, and then maybe you'll be able to hop to the next level, and you'll be trusted with a partner, because people are watching you. And when they see how you're treating other people, you're treating your own friends, that's when you start to become attractive to them, and then next thing you know, somebody will come and pick you out. But if they see yo, you don't even treat your own friends right, they're not gonna wanna be your partner, you know what I mean? And so that's my take on it. I really want you guys to understand that you should never trust a chef that does not eat his own food. And so in the same sense...
That's good. Wow.
And so in the same sense, make sure, if the chef's trying to give me food, oh, can you try? No. That's sketch. That's sketch. Practice what you preach. Take out the take out the log from your own eye before you take out the speck from other people's eye, which is what I talked about in one of my videos about using other people as mirrors. So if you want, you can refer back to that. But yeah, do you have anything else?
No, that pretty much summed it up. Great.
Cool. Well, guys, thanks.
Thanks for watching.
And hopefully this has been helpful. Leave your comments, concerns, your own lists. I'm definitely interested in
I want to see
seeing,
the list.
Yeah, I want to see all these different perspectives, what you guys think about certain things. If you disagree with anything,
please let us know.
Yeah, respectfully. And let us have an understanding. And I think that's all right.
Yeah, that's it.
Done.
Bye, guys.